Good morning, everyone. My name is Smiti. I'm the founder of Advantage Club, which is an employee benefits, rewards recognition, Flexi-Ben, and communities platform. Today, I'm going to talk about the ideology of flexible benefits, the reality check, and how you can actually deploy Flexi benefits in the right manner. Can I get the clicker, please? The clicker. The clicker. Thank you. All right. So, how many of you know the story of the evolution of benefits? Like, how did benefits and labor laws actually come in place? So I'm going to tell you that. In 1803, when British colonization was going on, back then, because of the sad state of workers and the way they were being treated, there were a lot of protests which started happening. Because of all these protests happening in different parts of different countries, the first ever labor law was introduced, which focused on child safety, especially at that point we used to have child workers as well, women's safety at the workplace, and general betterment of conditions at the workplace itself. So if you think about it, the evolution of benefits is right since 1803. And it was not something which employers decided out of the goodness of their heart. It is something which started because of the demand by employees that we need to be treated better, we need to have better conditions in the workplace, and that is how benefits has evolved over decades. So we started with the industrial evolution era, where you started having basic safety setups in the workplace. We moved on to the social responsibility and regulations era, where benefits evolved in a way that now you started focusing on health insurance, general coverage for family, for dependents, for yourself. And then we moved to the global economic era, where benefits became better than that, where we started moving on things like learning, general development, other focus areas where I can grow as an individual in my career. And then we came to our favorite current era, which is the VUCA era, which is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. All favorite, amazing 4 words, right? So the VUCA era, it started since 2010, and it's been interesting because we've seen recession, we've seen great resignation, we've seen things like quiet quitting, and now we're seeing this grand layoff season. So things have been so volatile in nature that the whole concept of benefits has also become very volatile in nature. So what has happened in the VUCA era is that employees' requirements and needs and demands have constantly been changing. And as employers, it has become really, really mandatory for us to keep adjusting and keep evolving to those changing requirements. So let's imagine that employee experience is a tightrope, and you're walking that tightrope. We've all seen people walk tightropes. I can't do it. I have horrible balance as a person, but imagine you're doing that. If you have to walk a tightrope, what is the first and foremost, most important thing for that? The rope needs to be tight. If the rope is wobbly, you're going to fall. So if employee benefits is a tightrope, the things which can make that tightrope wobble are, 1, we have a globally diverse workforce today. There's a crazy demographic shift in terms of people, in terms of, I have employees in India, I have employees in US, I have in Mexico, I have in Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia. So, and all of these employees are supposed to work with each other, different time zones, different setups, different cultures. It's really messy. Political and economic uncertainties have crazily risen up, because of which, again, that tightrope has become wobbly. Workplaces have transformed. You have work from home, you have work from office, you have work from the moon, you have work from Manali. It's just become harder and harder to engage employees. And the biggest factor which has been wobbling the tightrope of employee experience today is that employees need the choice of what they want. The same standardized benefit, the same standardized, say, insurance piece which we used to provide to all employees earlier does not work anymore because people want that choice. People want different options for different scenarios. They are in different positions, they're in different statuses. Some people are at home, they want different setups because of that. Some people are traveling, they want different setups because of that. Geographically, culturally, everything changes. So your choice of employee becomes really, really important, and that is what I'm going to focus on today, that how do you build a flexi benefit basket for your employees, which really takes care of the choice of every employee out there. So what are the essentials to ace the right form of flexi benefit modules? First and foremost, your program needs to ensure that, one, it covers all types of work models. Whatever benefit structure you design, it needs to work for, say, your work from home employees, work from office employees, gig employees, contract employees, people on roll, people off roll. It needs to work seamlessly for all of them. It needs to work for all your global workforces. You cannot create completely different things for different countries. At the end of the day, there needs to be certain sanity and standardization across geos now, because geos have come closer. The administrative complexity needs to be taken care of when you're actually designing a benefit. Say, for example, is your benefit structure equally relevant for all band levels in your organization? Is it fair for all types of employees, whether it's a CEO of the company and whether it's, say, a fresher who has recently joined your organization? And once you've devised those programs, you need to constantly evaluate the effectiveness of those programs. You need to ensure that they're legally compliant and keep evolving them as per feedback. So let's walk together. How do you actually create a flexi benefit basket? First and foremost, you need to identify the objectives of your organization. Why are you providing flexible benefits to your employees? Are you just doing it because your competitor is doing it? Or are you doing it because it really aligns with your company goals, company objectives, or any sort of specific behavior you want to drive in the organization? If you're giving a wellness flexi basket, what is it that you're trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve better well-being? Are you trying to achieve better mental health? Are you trying to achieve general fitness? Or are you trying to achieve parental care or family care and all of those things? So defining those objectives becomes really important before you create your flexi benefit basket. Once you've done that, you decide your budget. Now, I've seen different types of budgets in different organizations, and it's really dependent on how companies approach it, right? So if you want to say, for example, now the best way to actually decide the budget is to identify where are you spending on employees today. If you're already reimbursing them for work from home enablement, for example, if you're already reimbursing them for OPDs or doctor consultations, or if you're already giving certain gym memberships, that is the right place to start off, because those are spends which you already are doing on the employees, but they're unstructured in nature, and you can actually figure out ways to structure them out. And then you decide on other things which you want to spend as the budget. You finalize that budget. And typically I've seen industry standard being 1% to 5% of an employee's annual salary. 5% being more prevalent towards the starting side of the employees, that is the freshers and the early guys in their careers, and 1% being more tapered towards the management or the CXOs of the company. And then you identify what your employees really want. If you've done these programs in the past, you have some sense or some idea around where people are reimbursing their benefits, and that gives you a starting point again to create those benefits. Once you've identified those, you also have to understand your perspective, that obviously if you ask people what do you want, you will get 20,000 answers. You can't implement 20,000 benefits. So what is your perspective as an employer? And of course, eventually you leverage technology as a tool to deploy it. You can build your own technology, you can leverage a technology partner, but eventually when you have such a diverse workflows, you have to utilize technology. And once you've built your benefit structure, you again evolve, re-evolve, restructure, recreate, and make it better. So there are also other things you can look at while you're defining your flexi benefit basket. You can look at what your competitors are offering in the market, because at the end of the day, for hiring, retention, that is what becomes really important. You can look at industry trends, how your industry is approaching the flexi benefit problem. And you can look at different market research options around how generally the market is moving, whether certain benefits are in or certain benefits are out. So how do you build an employee value proposition using your flexi benefit piece? The first thing you do is, you create structures which are very streamlined and administering. If your benefit is really hard to administer, it is destined for failure. So the administration piece needs to be very simple, it needs to be very seamless, it needs to be very crystal clear. Second, it needs to be scalable and it needs to be adaptable. What works for, say, a person who is based out of the US might not work for a person who's based out of India. But at the same time, you have to create unified policies, but you have to ensure that your programs are scalable. If you have, say, an employee strength starting in the Philippines tomorrow, your program needs to be scalable to even cater to that audience. Thirdly, you have to obviously take care of compliance. You need to give all the support to the right stakeholders to drive it. You need to create a personalized experience. Again, I come back to that gym membership example. If somebody gives me a gym membership today, I will throw it away because, as you can see, I'm not fond of the gym. But I have a very stressful job, so if somebody gives me a flexi benefit option, I will go for, say, meditation. I will go for yoga. I will go for de-stressing options because that makes more sense for me from a wellness perspective. So it needs to be very personalized for every employee. And using technology, using AI, using ML, you can also drive personalized experiences where I see what matters to me basis my browsing history. And eventually, using data-driven insights, you have to identify how your programs are running. Utilization should be high. If utilization is not happening, which means that employees are not using the benefits, we need to rethink and restructure our benefit program as well. And I cannot emphasize enough on how strategic branding and communication plays a very pivotal role in the success of any benefit program. So let me give you an example. When I used to work with Microsoft in the US, Microsoft had a concept called as Microsoft Cares. And they used to brand it everywhere. Literally every benefit structure, every program, the Microsoft Cares branding used to be there. Why am I talking about it? Because it's been 11 years and I still remember it. Why do I remember it? Because of that branding, because of that tagline, because of that phrase which really hits hard in your head, and you start feeling that, okay, this company really cares about me, which they do, by the way, but you might have worked in 20 companies, you will only remember this one. So branding, communication, the way you implement and the way you present programs, it also has to hit the psyche of employees to make them realize the value of the benefits you're really giving. So if you have to implement, implementation changes company by company. And when I say you have to define objectives, it has to be suited to your organization size, to your industry, and to your business model. When you're implementing and you're deciding the budget, you need to ensure that, one, you have a detailed plan around why you are programming certain benefits. Second, it needs to fit your organization size. What works for a 200-employee company might not work for a 20,000-employee company and might not work for a 20-employee company. The right set of benefits, choosing them is the easiest way to do it. One, you can identify where you have done benefits in the past. Second, you can run surveys. You can run different forms of feedback options where you can understand what your employees really want and decide your budget and define it accordingly. And you can use the 1% to 5% rule to actually finalize band level budgets as well. Once you have decided the budgets and while you are implementing it, it is also important to constantly keep tracking those benefits. Like, for example, in one of the wellness programs which we finalized for a client, we identified that people were using the program for actually utilizing it for their family care, for physiotherapy of their elders in the house. which was a very surprising use case, because when you think of wellness, you don't think of people spending that bucket on physiotherapy of elders in the house. So once you have that data and you're able to identify that data, you can bring more options in place. You can put more awareness in place and therefore make it better, even from an employee's perspective, not just from an employer's perspective. And you review, you remove the programs, the benefits which are not that much being used by employees, and you add more of those options which are being used more by employees. So the 5 key attributes of any future-ready program, whether it is, say, Flexi-Benefits, whether it's rewards, recognition, whether it's communities, whatever you're building, there are 5 standardized key attributes which work. 1, all your programs need to be set aligned with your company goals and objectives. It needs to be aligned to your core cultural values, because then if you basically set your cultural values with every program which you are driving, again, it becomes that psychological thing in everybody's minds that every program is set with your values, and that value keeps repeating in your head over and over again. The program needs to be the right situation, it needs to be motivational, and at the end of the day, it needs to drive inspiration and inspire employees and inspire others to do the same as well. So, and this is a very common question, that what exactly comes under a flexi benefit basket? So I've put a few of them on the screen here. It could be anything. So I have seen companies put flexi benefit options even on exchanging their, maybe their leaves with, say, money or rewards or points or whatever. So it could be anything, right from paid time off to wellness to learning to development to even childcare. You can utilize, say for new mothers, you can provide flexi benefits that way. You could use anything. Even CSR can be put in a flexi benefit basket, where I have an option to pick and choose the charity of my choice to actually spend my money. Eventually, the bottom line is that if you have to retain employees, you have to give that choice to them. You have to give that option to them to be more relevant in terms of what employees want and what you are providing them. And we have various studies which say that employee benefits are really, really important for employees when they're looking for 2 competing jobs where one has the benefits and the other does not. So it just is a no-brainer. And if you're spending that much on your employees anyway, it just makes sense to create it more flexible, to make it more flexible and make it more relevant to them. So I think I'm also with that out of time. Thank you so much. My name is Smiti, and I'm from Advantage Club. We have a booth out here, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to chat, happy to discuss flexi benefit options, rewards, anything. I won't sell to you, so we can just chat about your programs, discuss those, and happy to meet everybody. Thank you.